ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans, and that's college baseball fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to week number 13, NCAA Insiders. Matt Grissom, Quentin Mills, the best in the business. Year number 4 with us. Couldn't be prouder to have them along as we are basically 2 weekends away from the regular season being a wrap, and then we get ready for some regionals, super regionals, and of course, Omaha. And hopefully the boys will be in Omaha for some Jello shots and some chicken reviews and all that good stuff. The headliner today, Tigers on the prowl, plus 1,300. Are we buying the Auburn Tigers resurgence here? Their offense is great. We talked to Nick on Tuesday about the Auburn Tigers and what they're doing. So look for them to make this late season run, and wondering what the boys are thinking on the Auburn Tigers plus 1,300. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Mr. Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills. What's up, boys?
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are we?
Doing well. It's 60 degrees. I guess I can't complain, right? Unless I wanted 70 or 80.
That's great for you up north. You'll take that all day.
Absolutely.
Headliner, Tigers of Auburn plus 1,300. I had a discussion with Nick on Tuesday. Right around this time of year, you really want the bats to be cooking with Crisco. They have offense. I don't know if they have the length in pitching to get them to Omaha. I'll start with you, Q. Are you buying plus 1,300?
I don't think it's a bad ticket. They're definitely one of the hottest teams right now. They do have a great front three on the mound. They do have a couple bullpen arms. Things get wild in the tournament, especially in the regionals. If you lose a game, then you got to battle back and really deplete that bullpen or see what you got. They're playing really good baseball. They're hitting the ball well. They kind of started slow this early on in the season. They've gotten their bats, consistently better throughout each week, and everything's starting to click for them. I don't think it's a little too early. You want to play like this style of baseball into the tournament, the conference tournaments. You don't want to try to figure out how to play consistent baseball when you're to that point. They're battling right now for a national host seed. They're a lock for a host, so that's out of the question. It's a little reassurance. So, yeah, I would take them, especially the way they lost last year to a quote-unquote mid-major. You got to think that team is going to be a little more motivated in the postseason to hopefully, avenge last season's super regional sweep and then get back to them all.
Matt?
Yeah, to echo what Q said, I'm a believer in this Auburn squad. What Butch Thompson's done this year has been nothing short of spectacular. The pitching staff really is the anchor of their success. Plus, they're number 4 in the RPI, number 1 strength of schedule. They have 12 quad wins, which puts them in top 5 of teams with double-digit quad wins. I think there's only 2 or 3 teams ahead of them at that point. But number 1 in number 1 in WHIP, number 2 in ERA, number 2 in XFIP, number 3 in Sierra, which is what we like looking at. Offense, kind of a little slower pace, but still above average at 106, good for 54th in the country. Like I said, I'm a believer in this Auburn squad.
Midweek games, expect the unexpected. I know Clemson has not had the year that anyone expected, but I did retweet. I did like the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina plus 140 at Clemson. They took them to the woodshed. Matt, we've talked about Coastal for a while now. They get their stud back. They know how to get to Omaha. They're a team that can score with anyone. It's the pitching. How far can they take it? Thoughts on Coastal Tuesday and thoughts of them with 2 weeks to go?
Yeah, good win bad loss for them because Clemson, who had the good win, Clemson's not very good this year. So I laughed because I think the NCAA Twitter account tweeted it out that that it was a big upset, which if you looked at their records, yeah, it would be. But in any normal year, I don't think it would be considered a huge upset. As far as Coastal, I think getting back Fluky was huge for them to be in that rotation. They're going to go as far as Fluky and Luke Jones. Is he healthy? Everybody else is healthy except for the one reliever, right?
Yeah, Carbone.
Yeah. So that is the main ingredient for this Coastal squad is get everybody back healthy, get them performing to the level that they're used to performing on, and they could once again be in Omaha. I'm not a huge believer right now in this offense. I think they're going to struggle. It all kind of just depends on where they get slotted and who's in that regional, but the pitching staff is going to do all they can. It's going to be the offense, though, that's going to have to start to get clicking if they're going to really make another push to Omaha.
Dr. Octagon asks, Golden Spike starts, lads. Any value town out there, Q?
That's probably the one area that I don't really follow because I don't have odds in Virginia for Golden Spike, so it's something that just kind of falls by the wayside for me.
Matt?
Yeah, I don't have any odds for Golden Spikes.
They consider that a play. Obviously, it's a player prop, and we don't have those in Virginia.
Yeah, I think Landon Harrison's a name to pay attention to, though. I don't know what his current odds are, but he's currently first in virtually every advanced metric. WOBA, weighted runs created. Kid is just absolutely on fire. Fourth in the country in home runs. I don't, outside of like a Tage Davis or some other guy that you may be able to find down the board, this ends up being an award, though, given to the best player on the best team. Pretty much years past. So
typically a senior.
Yeah, Vahiva winning it last year. Arkansas was, in the top five or the final four of the College World Series. That's kind of the metric there to use is best team, best player.
He said Teague is plus 650 on CZS, and then he added Rock is plus 750, FYI.
Yeah, UCLA has kind of struggled offensively here lately. They're sleepwalking through the Big Ten. His stats don't really jump off the page. I'd be curious to see once we get through regionals if those odds are still up, what everybody is. Because, like I said, if you've got a team that is making a push and maybe gets a big upset, like say Arizona State gets through their regional, and it's in large part due to Hairston, I think that would be when you buy into them.
Last push here, 2 weekends to go on DraftKings as we speak. Q, Georgia minus 550, Texas plus 450. Is this Georgia's obviously to lose, but any value in Texas plus 450, or we got to wait till the tourney?
No, I think Georgia's got it locked up. I think we talked about it last week. You could still get them at minus 160. They just played Missouri.
Minus 160,
yeah,
like that. And
they played Missouri.
Get them now because it's be gone.
To Matt's point, they were minus 520. I think was the lowest game against Missouri. So to cash that minus 160, you had to wait a couple weeks, but you were never going to find Georgia at a sub 200 value last weekend. Probably not this weekend as well. So stay away. I mean, there's really no conferences that I look at. I think if anything, if you're looking for maybe not a champion, you still have a little bit of value in the team to make Omaha, and just hopefully you hit one of 8. That's probably where I would start leaning if this was me.
Matt,
Yeah,
updated world.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Texas has Tennessee and Missouri left. So I would assume they win the next 5. That puts them at 20 wins in conference play. Georgia has 18, and they have LSU at Auburn. So all they have to do is win 3 of their next 6, and I think they've got it locked up. 4 of their next 6 if Texas sweeps through the next 6 games.
Updated odds on DraftKings to win the World Series. UCLA and Georgia Tech now even at 600. Mississippi State at 850. Texas at 900. UNC hanging around at 1,000. A&M 1,200. Georgia at 1,300. Auburn 1,300. Then the big boys, Florida State, Florida, and Ole Miss at 3,500. Coastal 4,500. And your Arkansas Razorbacks at plus 6,000, Matt.
Yeah, I still think that's worth taking, plus 6,000. The pitching staff, now that they've got it figured out with Dietz being a true Friday night guy, Gackle looked good on Sunday start, and then Gibbler's going to be the middle game guy that he may go 3, he may go 5 or 6, who knows? But the bullpen is still extremely deep. The offense is starting to figure out some timely hitting. I think what you saw them do in that game 3 against Ole Miss, that really, to me, that was more of a, okay, this is how salty this team can be. Now let's see if they can continue that momentum. Because I think Arkansas and Florida are a lot alike this year, and they have really good pitching staff, especially front-end starters. But sometimes they have the ability to kind of lay an egg offensively, but then they can turn around and score 12, 15 runs and run rule any SEC school. So I think Florida and Arkansas are really worth a look. I think Florida's 35-1, Arkansas 60-1, and they're very similar teams in that aspect.
Q?
I think it's crazy. You go from a 13-1 all the way up to a 35-1 with no in between there from the DraftKings odds. I'm not really sold on UCLA plus 600. I know Matt and I have kind of gone back and forth with some of the other guys, and he used the analogy a few weeks back, I think the best. He said that it's like they're playing with their food, and sometimes that can get you caught up, right? Like you sleepwalk through your schedule. You have to come back against a couple subpar teams. When you can't do that in a regional setting, in a super regional setting, and then in Omaha, like you're bound to slip up, and that's concerning. I'll give credit where credit's due. Like Georgia Tech, I had reservations about their pitching staff doing it. Not all season, but when it mattered the most. And every game that has mattered the most, they've done it. Now, can they do it in regionals? I'm inclined to believe yes. That was my biggest reservation. They don't play with their food. They just destroy it like they're eating food in prison. And to me, that's the difference maker, right? Like they want to go out and they win, and they want to get you by the throat early and often and put the game away by the 3rd or 4th inning. UCLA likes to play the 8th and 9th inning dramatics here as of late, and that's going to catch up to teams. But as value, I would give, and the odds say it, give me Florida. And objectively, I think Arkansas is starting to figure it out. But they were just a little more inconsistent on the pitching side compared to Florida. Florida's now getting Jackson Barbary back. Florida was one of the best pitching staffs in the country when Barbary was healthy. And I do think Florida has a slight advantage. But if you can get an Arkansas at 60-1, that's pretty good value too. When are you ever going to see the Razorbacks at a 60-1 price? That's kind of telling.
Yeah, and to Q's point, UCLA, they made their money early on in the season and getting big wins on neutral site fields against Tennessee, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Now, they had to come back and win against Mississippi State, if I remember that. They won 8-7. They finished the season versus Oregon, which I think is going to be a really good series, and then at Washington, which, again, probably sleepwalking through there. We project their final record to be 48-6. They're currently 44-4, so maybe drop 2 more games. But their strength of schedule continues to fall, and there's only so much you can do when you're playing a weak Big Ten, and all you really had to anchor your strength of schedule against the elites is a 3-game series in week 2 against TCU, which ended up not really coming to fruition because TCU kind of fell off with injuries. And then those 3 games against SEC schools, which we've seen Tennessee kind of establish that they're not elite by any means. Texas A&M, that was a good win. They run-ruled them 11-1. But then Mississippi State right here, I think if those 2 teams played again on a neutral, I think Texas A&M and Mississippi State both win. 7-0 against quad 1 opponents when, what I just say, Auburn has 12 wins.
Yeah.
Just playing the regular season. I think at the end of the year, when you get in the regionals, that matters. What quality competition have you faced week in and week out that's going to translate to you being on in every single game? Because the second you slip up, that's when you're done. Your season's over. So,
well, in the playoff format, to just wrap a bow on that, this isn't listen, we got shelled in the second inning on a Friday night. We're just going to go ahead and let some guys eat some innings and we'll come back tomorrow. They're throwing the kitchen sink at you in every game, in regionals, in super regionals, and in Omaha, because it's win or go home. And if you're not playing that style of baseball, you're never going to succeed. And when they have to face the kitchen sink every single game, it doesn't matter if it's a small school or a big school, it gets tiring. And if you haven't played with that mentality all season long, that puts you, to me, at a disadvantage, because how do you react to that? When they're throwing their stud guy late in the game, or they're bringing them in on short rest, and then you go, to a schedule where you may not know who they're throwing. You get deep into a regional. I mean, they might have Jeff Dawson coming out of the pen in the 7th. You never know who's on the back end of that roster. There's so many times where a guy's like, man, it's his first start, 3 innings pitched all season long. Carson Finvold threw 8 innings, no runs for Florida. Nobody had ever heard of him, to include myself, outside of a scouting report. And that's the thing that I think they could get caught up on.
2 weekends to go, this weekend and next week, and you guys will be in Kentucky next week for was it Kentucky, Florida, or Kentucky, Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Okay. Matt, give us the Arkansas report, and what can we expect from them in the next 2 weeks here?
I expect them to win both of these series. They're not completely out of the regional hosting picture. I think everybody has them projected to go to Tallahassee to be the 2 in Florida State, which I think favors Arkansas. I mean, you're facing basically the ACC equivalent of yourself. Really good pitching staff. Florida State's offense was really good until Miles Bailey went down. Now it's kind of tapered off a little bit, but still better than Arkansas. But I still think they're well within that striking distance. If you can get a sweep out of Oklahoma or Kentucky, and then you win the other one, you finish the season with 18 wins in conference play. You go down to Hoover, maybe win a game or 2. Who knows? At this point, I think they're finally hitting their stride, which, if you've paid attention to college baseball, this is the time of the year when it really matters. Not to say, a UT Arlington loss on a Friday didn't hurt, but you look back at the schedule and those games have been played. It's over. You got to do what you got to do. I think fighting back and winning that game 3 against Ole Miss, like I said earlier, was a huge indicator of just how good this team can be. Now it's just believing in that, buying into it, and bringing it for the next 6 games.
Q, Florida, next 2 weekends?
Yeah. Again, I don't know what Florida team's going to show up. They show up in Oklahoma, play really well on the road, especially in the game 3. Now, they had hurricane winds blowing out, and it was a home run derby from guys that you really wouldn't expect. Carson Bowen, a multi-home run game, a couple of Hayden Yost, and you're like, wow. All right, we'll take it from anybody at this point. But You want your guys to heat up. Brendan Lawson, they really need him to heat up. It seems like something is mechanically off since he's been in and out of the lineup, battling, allergies and the flu and things like that. So if we can get him going, I think they're starting to turn it around. Cade Curlin, while the power's not there, he's starting to hit a little more doubles, getting some singles. Blake Sear has been on an absolute tear, one of the best hitters in college baseball over the last 3 weeks, and he's got 9 home runs in the last 3 weeks. Just seeing everything like it's a watermelon. And then this guy that I don't know how he fell through the cracks, but Cade McDonald has just been an absolute stud for Florida the last 2 weekends. And if they can continue to keep, Blake Sear producing, Cade Curlin emerging again, fix Brendan Lawson, this team can go really far. They get Jackson Barbary back, Cash Strayer, another up-and-coming freshman that looked really good. They need the pieces to come together at the same time. They've got to stop having like a Sear 1 week, then a Cade in the other week. And I think things are turning around, but I don't want to sell myself too short and say that it's a lock, because anything can happen with this Florida Gators team. They could go get swept this weekend, and I'm just going to smash my head in the wall. But to Matt's point, just to the Arkansas thing, the committee does take recency into consideration. Florida started, I think, 1-11 last year or the year before in SEC play, and it finished in 15-15, and it got them into the playoffs. So Arkansas is on a really good track.
Looking at today's games here, and the one that first going down the board here that stood out, Louisville at Miami, under over 13.5. First 1-7 wins that one. Miami minus 200. BYU, Texas Tech again. Texas Tech minus 195. Another 13.5. First 1-7 wins that one. Here's a good one. Auburn at Mississippi State. Right now, Mississippi State minus 166 can get Auburn plus 130. Over under of just 9 on that one. Thoughts on Mr. Grissom? Anything on today's slate get you to the window, I should say?
I'm really considering betting Auburn. I like the move to take Marciano back to your Friday night, in this case Thursday night start. Site has Mississippi State minus 133, so plus 133 for Auburn. Not really getting a whole lot of value there, but just as far as pure numbers and how good Auburn has played lately, they're 8-2 over their last 10. Which so is Mississippi State, so that point is moot. But this Auburn team, again, it's the pitching staff. How dominant can they be? Marciano started off the season so hot and then lost a couple of games, but he's still at 210 Sierra. And then you've got to piggyback with him, Alvarez at 225, Petrovic at 301. Like, they've got so many good arms that they can throw at Mississippi State, Mississippi State is very solid. I think Thomas Valencius or Valencius, whichever one this is, I just trust Auburn a little bit more. Now it is on the road. That's my only hesitation. If I could get Auburn plus 130 at home, sign me up all day. But Duty Noble is going to be rocking. So I haven't pulled the trigger on either one. I think it's going to be a great game, though. Site projects it 5.2 to 5.9, giving a slight edge to Mississippi State.
Hey, Dr. Octagon, Matt wants to know Arkansas plus 475 just to get to Omaha.
Yeah, I like that for the simple fact that if the projections hold right now and they're a 2 seed going to Florida State, I would assume that they're going to be in that plus 200 range to win that series. So if they do that, you're getting a super regional. I think it was against, is it Texas?
What seed number were they?
I think it was 14.
14-3. Yeah, I think Texas has been in that 3 range for the last couple weeks.
It's either Texas or Texas A&M. But I assume since it'll be a conference series, you're probably going to be 50-50 split, maybe plus 140. I still think the plus 475 is the better route to go than trying to bet it regional and then super regional.
Q, anything on tonight's slate that's got your appetite?
Oh, yeah, we're going down in the bottom of the barrel here, digging deep. We're going to go with a Texas Tech Southeastern Louisiana moneyline parlay for plus 112. Texas Tech can hit the ball really well. There's typically winds blowing out of the stadium. I probably don't even hate the 13.5. BYU is kind of a team that I fade on the road. They're a home team, specifically game one home team, and then the wheels fall off. Texas Tech's won 2 in a row. I'm not saying they're a powerhouse, but getting a little life here, get that third win. And then I like Southeast Louisiana versus Nicholls State. Southeast Louisiana's had a pretty good season. They always give teams trouble. I've heard they might pitch off because it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but nonetheless, our site liked both of those. It liked Texas Tech a little over 2-run favorite, and then Southeast Louisiana was somewhere in the 1.5 to 2-run favorite as well. So parlay those two together for a little half unit play on a Thursday.
So to touch on what Q just said, the site. All right, I reconfigured our model and used so many different metrics that I don't even know at this point what it does exactly when it picks.
The creator is confused.
But yesterday, we're laughing at this in our group chat. It made Villanova plus 120 a 3-star play, which is the most confident play you could have. And I'm looking at the stats like head to head, which you can
not lining up
any matchup, collegebaseballinsiders.com. But I'm like, what does it see? Why does it like Villanova? I didn't even know Villanova had a baseball program. I thought they were D2. But lo and behold, Villanova won 14-1 in what was the most rocking chair Wednesday winner I think I've ever been a part of. So it was a 3-star. Today we have 3 1-stars, which is McNeese minus 120, Texas Tech minus 195, and Miami minus 188. I don't hate those if you want to parlay Tech and Miami. The threshold is minus 200. Anything over minus 200, it gets filtered down into a parlay piece. We're not trying to have people lay a ton of juice, but it does favor McNeese, Tech, and Miami tonight.
I'm on the site now. I flipped over to the Friday night lights. Bama at South Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, LSU, Georgia. Just scrolling to the bottom here. Anything else here? Catch my eye. Cal, Virginia, no thank you. Texas, Tennessee. Does LSU or Tennessee, one of them have any fight left? Or this just get to the end of the year and get me home?
Tennessee, they're going to be in the tournament.
LSU
thinks they are. Man, I just don't know. I just don't see it.
I think Tennessee and LSU probably both get swept this weekend. Texas is tough. Lindsey Nelson, they're going to be able to hit in that stadium. LSU going to Athens. I still don't know the status of Casey Evans, if he's fully healthy or not. LSU has been hobbled with injuries all season long. I think they're done. Georgia probably steamrolls through them.
Any closing thoughts on the Friday Night Lights and series coming up this weekend?
Just that West Virginia, Kansas is going to be a great series. Kansas in that regional hosting picture right now. It would be great to see the Big 12 get a good host, and I wouldn't hate
national host.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate if Arkansas was the 2 in that series, or in that regional. West Virginia has been another really good Big 12 program all season long. I'll be very curious to see how this series goes, because if you remember back last year, which I just remember because I had a ticket on Kansas to win the Big 12 at like 8 plus 800. They went to West Virginia and swept West Virginia, but West Virginia still won the Big 12 because a series was canceled. And so their win percentage was still technically higher despite having one less win and just getting swept. So Kansas probably out for a little revenge. Hoagland Park is going to be rocking as Kansas Jayhawks continue battling to be a national seed for, I think, the first time in school history.
Well, they can hopefully do better than their basketball team. Q, closing thoughts.
Florida, Kentucky is going to be wild. You just don't know which two Wildcat and Gators teams are going to show up. So that's kind of like going to the circus for a surprise act. We'll see what we got when we get to the field. But no, you can pretty much watch any series of the SEC and kind of be shocked. It's been that kind of a season. So tune into that. Some good ACC scheduling. And then as always, check out that site that you just got yourself onto, collegebaseballinsiders.com. If you're trying to figure out who the site thinks is going to win.
The scroll has been going the whole time. Obviously, everyone knows Q at Q Millie. That's 3 L's, 2 Y's. M Grissom, the Insiders. But as we always wrap it up, Q, tell them where they can get the written work, the website, and all the picks, yada, yada, yada.
collegebaseballinsiders.com. You could sign up with us, get the premium projected value picks. You get our picks as well as the Dub Club. I'm still filtering my plays through there for the season long subscriptions. And then at QMillie, 3 L's, 2 Y's. And then The Insiders is College Baseball Insiders main Twitter page.
Matty.
Yeah, I think Q covered it all. Written work at collegebaseballcentral.com. They're doing a great job turning out articles over there. If you like to read, if you like to watch, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. Both of us have College Baseball Central and Insiders, both YouTube channels with all of our shows streaming. So, and also check out Saturday Morning Show with Q and Smitty. They're doing really fun show, little coffee and preview of the slate. Doesn't really get a whole lot of shine on the Saturdays, Sundays, because everybody's attention is on that Friday night matchup. But Saturdays is brought to you by the boys, and they're doing a great job with it.
Next week, you guys will be on assignment. I do know that we have done live shows from Omaha last year when you guys were there. I'm around. I'm available. I can be flexible, whether it's at the hotel, at the field, or wherever it is. So keep me on speed dial. How's that sound for next week?
Sounds good to us.
Go follow them. You guys know the drill. We got this weekend and next weekend before regionals, super regionals in Omaha, where hopefully the boys will be there with Derek Stevens and Circa. Jello shots, chicken tenders, and all that good stuff. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Q Millie, that is 3 L's, 2 Y's, and of course, Mr. M Grissom. Go catch them at The Insiders. Go check out this amazing website. I do mean that. Everything right at your fingertips and mouse. You can't miss a beat here. Shout out to Dr. Octagon for asking some questions here. The day is done. It's complete. Behave yourselves. Stay in your lanes and stay tuned.